Back in 1986, Luther Vandross was charged with misdemeanor vehicular manslaughter and reckless driving in connection with a multi-car collision that took the life of his passenger, Lawrence Salvemini. According to police records, the singer was driving too fast when he lost control of his luxury car. His car drifted across the center line and hit two oncoming vehicles. Luther Vandross suffered broken ribs and cuts to his face and head and was hospitalized for almost a week. Eventually, the singer pleaded no contest to a charge of reckless driving and was placed on probation, ending his vehicular manslaughter trial in Nuys Municipal Court. In a plea deal, Luther Vandross agreed to donate the proceeds of a concert to a scholarship fund in memory of his late friend who passed away in the crash. Professional tennis player Venus Williams was blamed for a fatal car crash that took the life of a 78-year-old man. The wife of the victim told cops she was approaching an intersection westbound in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida on June 9, 2017, when Venus' northbound SUV suddenly darted into the intersection. The other driver says there was no time to stop and she T-boned Venus' vehicle. Following the accident, the driver's husband suffered head trauma and was taken to the hospital and placed in ICU. Unfortunately, he never recovered and died 2 weeks later. The police report indicated Venus was at fault for violating the right-of-way of the other driver. Venus Williams eventually broke her silence and called the incident an unfortunate accident, while sharing what happened from her perspective. According to the police report, Venus was traveling at 5 miles per hour when Mrs. Barson crashed into her. Authorities did not issue the tennis player with any citations or traffic violations and reported the athlete was not under the influence of drugs or alcohol. On February 7, 2015, Caitlyn Jenner was involved in a 4-car pileup in Malibu, California that resulted in the passing of 70-year-old Kim Howe. Following the incident, Caitlyn was not charged with a crime after the Los Angeles County District Attorney determined she was driving below the speed limit and engaged her brakes before impact. Caitlyn eventually agreed to pay an $800,000 settlement for the crash. Before Don King gained success as a boxing promoter, he was found guilty of second-degree murder after stomping one of his former bookmaking employees to death because the man owed him $600. Don King was found guilty, but the judge reduced the charge to non-negligent manslaughter. Don King spent nearly 4 years in prison and was eventually pardoned for the crime in 1984 by then Ohio Governor Jim Rhodes. In addition to taking his former employee's life, Don King was also accused of taking the life of another man in 1954, but it was ruled as a justifiable homicide. R&B singer Brandy was involved in a car accident back in 2006 that claimed the life of a 38-year-old mother and wife. According to the police report, Brandy was driving her 2007 Land Rover at 65 miles per hour and did not notice that cars in front of her had slowed down. The singer's vehicle struck a 2005 Toyota, which then hit another vehicle. The 2005 Toyota then slid sideways and hit the center divider. Unfortunately, as the Toyota came to a halt, it was struck by another vehicle. An eyewitness who was driving behind Brandy at the time of the crash told TMZ that the singer repeatedly blamed herself at the scene of the accident. The singer was disoriented and highly upset following the crash and began walking in front of traffic, crossing the lanes of speeding cars, while people were honking for her to get out of the road. Brandy was not injured in the accident or arrested since there was no evidence of drugs or alcohol involved. The family of the victim filed a $50 million wrongful death lawsuit in 2008, which led Brandy to eventually settle out of court. The terms of the settlement were not disclosed. Actress Felicia Pearson, who's best known for her role as Snoop on The Wire, was charged when she was 14 years old after taking the life of another teenage girl. Felicia received 2 8-year sentences to be served consecutively, but was released 6.5 years into her term for good behavior. While serving her time, Felicia earned her GED and years later became an actress. Singer Russell Neal from the 90s group H-Town was charged with taking the life of his wife, Catherine Martinez, back in 2014. According to reports, the singer told the authorities his wife, a then 24-year-old fitness model and aspiring boxer, was dead inside their West Houston apartment and that he needed a lawyer. Russell Neal was charged with first-degree murder in 2014 and was released on a $100,000 bond. 2 months later, a court determined the singer was incompetent to stand trial, and he was sent to Rusk State Hospital. According to True Crime Daily, the singer still sits in the mental institution. 2000's rapper, Cassidy, was convicted of involuntary manslaughter after taking the life of Desmond Hawkins. Authorities claimed that Cassidy, whose real name is Barry Reese, was one of several men who riddled a van with gunfire as it headed down a side street behind the rapper's home on April 15, 2005. A witness testified that Barry Reese had been in an earlier altercation with Cassidy and had gone to his home to make peace. Thankfully for Cassidy, the judge only had enough evidence to try the 22-year-old rapper on a third-degree charge. Cassidy was later sentenced 23 months in prison and received credit for time served. The rapper was released on March 2, 2006 after serving 8 months. Actor Alec Baldwin was recently indicted on an involuntary manslaughter charge in a 2021 fatal shooting during a rehearsal on a movie set in New Mexico. The actor was pointing a gun at the cinematographer when the gun went off, killing her and wounding the director. Rapper DaBaby took the life of another man back in 2018. According to reports, the rapper got into a scuffle with a would-be robber while shopping at a Walmart that he regularly shops at. The unnamed man was trying to rob the rapper of his expensive chain and other jewelry. However, things went south when they got into a fight, forcing the rapper to pull out his weapon and strike the man. DaBaby waited for law enforcement to arrive at the scene and told cops he acted in self-defense. Prosecutors later reviewed Walmart's video surveillance and determined the rapper acted in self-defense. Suge Knight is currently in prison for running over a man named Terry Carter with his vehicle outside of a Compton burger stand. Suge Knight eventually pleaded no contest to voluntary manslaughter to avoid a murder trial and a possible life sentence. The rap mogul was sentenced 28 years behind bars. TLC member Lisa Left Eye Lopez was not accused or charged with taking the life of anyone. However, weeks before her passing, the rapper was riding in a van that fatally struck a 10-year-old Honduran boy. The rapper spoke about this incident in her final documentary that aired on VH1. Left Eye was a passenger in the Mitsubishi driven by her personal assistant. According to reports, the family chose not to press charges because the boy was on the main street with a group of people who crossed over and jumped in front of the moving vehicle. Left Eye paid about $3,700 for the child's medical care and funeral, and also gave the boy's family about $925.